vlog number 10.
You can do that with both. You can do that with both hands now.
I lift my pen down. Vlog number 10.
Amazing.
And we got a third wheel in our relationship.
Who's G? Well, G Cove. G Cove. Is that what we call him now?
New nickname. Love that.
Down with the kids. So I think obviously a usual format is a bit of an overview on the market, and then we've got Mr. Cavello who's coming to join us to, as I'm sure some of you have seen, he's written his first blog post, which went viral on our website. You know what I mean? He's had the Times and all sorts of people asking him to do editorial parts for them on the market. So we thought it only right to let him be a guest on our ever popular vlog. So welcome to the fold, my man.
Is it safe to say he's an influencer? Is that what we're saying now?
If that's what the kids call it, mate. That's
right.
what the kids call it.
All right, mate.
One of the names.
I can think of a million things better to do, but I better not. So I guess, look, my view, the market at the moment is going mad. There are so many new jobs we're picking up, both on perm, contract. I mean, I think let alone today, we picked up 4 or 5 new roles just today, which is brilliant. I think everyone was a little bit concerned as we went into lockdown 2.0 as to really what that was going to mean. Are we going to see us going back to where we were back in April, May, June? But anything but that, really. And I think the biggest shift that I'm seeing at the moment is the lack of candidates, and it feels very similar. It doesn't feel similar. It's exactly the same as we were before COVID came out. More jobs than candidates. Candidates either aren't open to new opportunities or are having multiple interviews, multiple offers, and are having the pick of the bunch. So I think that the market is tough, and I think more so than ever having a fantastic recruitment partner to work with to guide you through those challenges, like George, would be great. But I don't know, what are you boys seeing in the market at the moment? What's your view and take on things?
So on that note, before obviously we can get George to have a little chat around sort of candidates and what perhaps might be a good thing for candidates to do now. Some of my interpretation of this is actually, I completely agree with you, but some of the other stuff that I'm noticing is there are candidates that I'm resurrecting from hibernation. And what I mean by that is I think some of them have thought, do you know what, there's not going to be anything around now. I'm going to wait until the new year. I'm just going to wind the CV back in. And I'm worried that some candidates are maybe writing off the rest of the year and going, do you know what, I'm not going to bother. So I'm actually proactively approaching people that potentially were on the market, are probably still on the market, but they're actually thinking, January now, I think, just because the market's probably dead, and they're not even looking. They've probably given up the search. But you know, if you just scroll through job ads now, there is a lot of just activity in general, right? And not necessarily in technology, in all other industries, there's a lot of activity. And I think it's just, you know, don't cut yourself short and miss those opportunities this side of Christmas, is my opinion, and keep looking, because that might be a reason why we're not seeing so many candidates at the moment. Might be another reason.
Oh, I agree. And I think so, George, mate, you wrote, like I said, I mean, I don't think it quite went viral. I don't think you quite had the Times, the Telegraph on the phone, but you never know. I think that what you wrote, mate, was really good. And I guess I was keen to get you on here and get you to talk about it. And because I think the more advice that we can offer candidates and what you put in your blog was really good, mate. So you maybe just to give us a bit of an overview and a bit of a flavour as to what your advice for candidates are in the market at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the sort of blog was just focused around a number of things like CVs, how to sort of keep those up to date with what's going on at the moment and tailoring them to sort of specific jobs and so forth. And just making sure, obviously, especially for interviews, that candidates are spending the time to go through the website of the company. If you know who you're speaking with, go through their LinkedIn profile and just do a bit of background research, and just really getting that sort of process nailed down to a T, so that, because lots of candidates we speak to are constantly interviewing, going through the sort of process, and I guess it's just all about constantly looking for ways to improve and using feedback as well as one of the main points there to just how you use that effectively. So what sort of points you're getting back and what to improve on. Just take them away, you know, with a positive mindset, and look at your next interview and link into previous feedback and how you can improve on that for the next stage. But I think in terms of the CV, definitely getting that tailored to the roles that you're looking for as well, because a lot of the times candidates would just say, yeah, send my CV over, you know, without having a proper in-depth read of the job spec. And it's always better to link into the skills they're looking for, especially if you've got them and they're not included on your CV as well. So.
And what about sort of reviewing Glassdoor and things like that, making sure you touched on it there in terms of doing their background research around the company. Yeah, I think that's really important as well. I think, would you suggest that they get some advice and opinion if they know anyone that's worked there before, or, you know, and definitely do those Glassdoor, you know, do that real in-depth, or try and get as much information about the company they're going for?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think because Glassdoor definitely helps as well prepare questions for them. Because a lot of the times you always hear about interviews and it's like, well, the candidate didn't ask any questions about the business and, you know, about how we are from a culture perspective. And always, you know, those questions in that first sort of stage are always come across really, really good. And especially linking into contacts you know that have worked there in the past or might work there at the moment. Obviously, we always say try and take some of that with a pinch of salt if the person no longer works there, and it might have been 2 or 3 years since they've worked there, because you know things can change quite quickly at businesses. But I definitely say linking into connections you know or who they know that someone might work there, and sort of getting an outsider opinion on the business as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think as well, I mean, some of the things we've seen this week, I think we'd all agree is, I think my advice to candidates is don't be afraid to say no to something. We've had a couple of instances this week where candidates will say, yes, yeah, I want that job. Yes, I can do a fixed term contract. Yes, I'll do a interim role. Yes, I'll do a perm role. And then it kind of comes to it where then we get to the stage where the client's saying, yes, we want you. Yes, we're going to offer you the role. And then all of a sudden the candidate steps back and says, oh, I don't know if I really want to do an interim role, or I don't know if I really want to do a perm role. Or, I mean, again, I haven't actually, before the interview, I've kind of getting a call before, I've just read the spec. It's not quite what I was thinking. And I think that can have a real damage on your own candidate branding in the market, because the Southwest is a small market. And if you're wanting to stay in the Southwest and work in the Southwest, the hiring manager where they are today is probably not going to be that hiring manager in that company. They're going to be a hiring manager in this company. And they will remember that candidate who was all up for it through the whole process and then at the last minute changed their mind. And if people do that genuinely, I don't think there's any issue. But I think some people take the view, well, let's kind of spread my bets. And I think you did a really good blog, Chad, on kind of managing counter offers and managing your own sort of branding. And I think that really ties into that. So I think just really bear that in mind and push the recruiter, push the person you're working with to really get all the answers that you want, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I've noticed as well, and this is feedback from an interview that happened. I'll leave it generic. I don't want to name names, obviously, but there's a lot of tiredness involved in this. You know, we're getting to the end of the year. It's hard work, especially in our industry. You know, we're feeling it. I think candidates feel it after a while. So if we get advice from, and some of the worst feedback we get from clients is candidate X could do the job standing on his head or her head. However, we just felt like they weren't really enthusiastic in the interview, and we could feel it, and that comes across, and it's so difficult. I know it is, because we are getting, you know, candidates out there are getting fed up with the rejections, and then they get an interview and they're still in that rejection mindset, and they sit there and they go, oh, right, my name is, and they just, and it comes across on Zoom, it comes across on Teams, it comes across on the interviews. They just didn't really look fired up, or weren't really, in other words, what George is alluding to, that they weren't asking the right questions, or they didn't even ask a question because they just looked run down, Chad, you know, and that's a real shame, especially when people are really nailed on for the job. But it is difficult. It's almost like get some extra hours sleep the night before before your interview, because you need to perform on your interview. You need to feel fired up. They need to see that energy because it's palpable. It's something that candidates should exude in an interview. And I know it's tough. It's difficult for people because they're just getting beaten down all the time by rejections.
Yeah. I think again that's where kind of using whichever recruitment partner is us or whoever, speaking to them because they know their clients inside out. They know what the client's wanting. They know what that interview process is going to be. So speak to them, ask for advice. Ultimately, you and the recruitment partner, whoever that is, both want the same outcome. You want to get the job. The recruitment partner wants to place you into that role. So you're both working towards a common goal. And I think sometimes some candidates are brilliant at using that and utilising that relationship. I think some candidates probably don't always see the value in what a recruitment partner can bring to the table. So I think use that as much as you can do. And again, I mean, there's some really good blogs we've all been writing. Obviously, George one's is great. There's a great blog on our website which talks about how to utilise LinkedIn in your search. Chad's one about how to manage a counter offer whilst sort of still managing your own brand in the Southwest market. I think it's well worth a read. But ultimately, if anyone's got any questions, want any support or advice, then get in touch with any of us. I mean, we're more than happy whether the interview's via us or via anyone. I mean, we'll happily give you 10 minutes of our time to run over what we know. And then on a parting note, George, your top tip for tech talent in the Southwest, what would it be?
Top tip? God, put me on a spot here.
Come on, mate. You're the third wheel in our podcast, mate. You've got to have some great tech top tips, mate.
Come on, George. Come on, mate.
I think for me, it would just be keeping up with the sort of trends in the market as well. So when you're going through applications, just show that you've got that interest and just keep up to date with it all so you can bring it up. Because obviously, it comes across a lot better if you're well educated with what's going on in the market and sort of trends. And that's one thing that I'd say doesn't come up a lot in our interviews with our candidates. I'd say possibly from personal experience. So definitely keep up to times of everything that's going on and just constantly updating that CV and then keep going through it all.
Good. Great advice from Mr. Cavello. We've got some super exciting Tech Curious Founders speakers coming up, haven't we? We've got the guys from Rocket Makers, Ultraleap, Bunk, iCan. Come on, Chad, help me out.
Come on. I think, is there another one? I think there is.
PTI, got that
yeah,
one.
done PTI, yeah.
Recording that one. There's the other one that's on the tip of my tongue.
Come on.
Payaka,
yes.
I got that.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, keep tuned on that. And as always, look, I mean, we're always open to hearing feedback on our vlogs, podcasts, blogs, because the more you tell us the stuff you want to hear, the more we can get young Mr. Cavello writing super content.
Yeah. More than happy to do it.
I'm sure we did that in 5 minutes.